Hey everybody, Logan Albright here. I want to talk to you today about the book The Silent Patient by Michaelides. I'm guessing that's pronounced. Greek name, but with Michael in front of it. The Silent Patient is sort of out of my wheelhouse in terms of genre. It is a modern psychological thriller, which I don't read a lot of, but it is about insanity, and I have kind of an obsession with stories about insanity. All these weather-bound books you see behind me here are all about insanity and mental illness, and I find the topic just utterly fascinating, and I love reading books about it, even if they're completely fictional and made up, as this one is. The plot of The Silent Patient is basically there's a woman who is a celebrated artist who is accused of murdering her husband, and as soon as she is accused of murdering him, she stops talking entirely, becomes completely mute, and is placed into a mental institution. And there's a therapist who reads about her story in the newspaper and becomes obsessed with her and tries to get a job at the institute where she's being held so that he can work with her and treat her. It's a gripping book. It's a page turner. It's certainly something I had a lot of trouble putting down once it got going. I guess you would say it's sort of a typical modern psychological thriller in that regard. The author is really going for surprise, shock, and excitement, cliffhanger, chapter endings, that sort of thing. There's not a lot of meat on the bones of the book, I would say. It's sort of a fun read. It was recommended to me, and so it's not normally something I would have read, but I really did enjoy it. And although it hasn't really stuck with me the way that a lot of deeper books have, if you're looking for something that's quick and fast and exciting and something you won't be able to put down, this is a good read. I like books that are set in mental asylums. I like books that deal with insanity. And I like books where things are not quite as they seem and you have to kind of guess what's going along the way. So this book delivered in terms of that. It was, you never quite knew what was happening. I had a few guesses going along what was going to happen in the end, but I don't want to spoil anything, but I will say that the ending is intended to be somewhat of a shock, and I think it delivers in that regard. It's not the most shocking book I've ever read, but it's a little bit surprising especially if you haven't read a lot of these books in the past. It reminded me of Shutter Island, which is another book in the same genre, which you might have read, and it reminded me a little bit of the works of an author named Robert McCammon, who's someone I read a lot when I was younger and really was obsessed with for a while, and I have a video on my channel doing my top 5 list of him, so you can refer to that if you want similar books. It's a little bit Stephen King-esque. It's got a little bit of a horror aspect to it, a little bit of a thriller aspect to it, but mainly it's just a fun psychological read that you will certainly be able to get through in a couple of days. I think I read it in 2 days, so it goes by very fast. If you're interested in that sort of a book, I do recommend The Silent Patient by Michaelides. Thanks for watching, everybody. I've been Logan Albright, and I'll catch you next week with another book review. You never know what it's going to be. It might be a light kind of modern bestseller like this. It might be something deep and heavy that's a little bit more difficult to read. It might be something you've never heard of. So check back. I'll see you next time.